Hey Bama! Nick Saban makes a revealing comment about Dabo Swinney's tenure on his team. But after all, was he, or should he have been, considered a potential Bama coach some time ago? I've read comments that even Dabo's team doesn't want him. Let's see. Nick Saban, even retired, remains a powerful voice in college football. When he speaks, everyone pays attention, and that's exactly what happened a while back on College Game Day, when the former Alabama coach commented on Dabo Swinney's situation at Clemson. Instead of raising doubts about Swinney's tenure, Saban was clear that his job is secure, but at the same time, he sent a strong message: if he wants to keep the program relevant, Dabo will have to adapt. Saban knows this pressure well. He spent 17 years in Tuscaloosa, creating a nearly impossible standard that ultimately became the foundation for the Crimson Tide's relentless pressure. He himself admits that this perpetual climb was one of the reasons he retired in 2024. In Swinney's case, the dilemma is similar. He built Clemson, transformed the program into a national champion, but now faces serious questions about his ability to evolve amid a landscape that changes with each season. The central point of criticism, of course, is the transfer portal. While virtually every major program has learned to use the system to bolster rosters and address deficiencies, Swinney has remained steadfast in his stance of resistance. For many, this stubbornness is costing them dearly. Clemson has been underperforming and, at the same time, sees direct rivals rapidly reinventing themselves through the portal. Swinney's own recent speech shows that he is still seeking a different path, even advocating the idea of a salary cap to balance the NIL. But while he waits for rules to bring order to the chaos, he risks falling even further behind. It's curious to think that, in the past, Dabo Swinney's name was even floated as a possible heir to the Alabama throne. Because of his Alabama native, his ties to the state, and his success at Clemson, he seemed a logical choice when Saban's succession was still a distant possibility. But recent years have completely changed that. Today, Swinney faces criticism not only from outside but also from within Clemson's own academy. Some say, with irony and a certain exaggeration, that not even Dabo's own team wants him anymore. Whether that's fair or not is another debate, but the truth is that his image is no longer that of the innovative and successful coach of the recent past. Meanwhile, in Tuscaloosa, history has taken a different path. Many doubted Kalen DeBoer when he was chosen to take Saban's place. The argument was simple: who could handle the weight of the greatest program of the last decade, under the shadow of the greatest coach of all time? But within a few months, DeBoer began to show that the choice made sense. Alabama remains competitive, with adjustments still needed, but without losing its identity as a team that reinvents itself. And here the inevitable question arises: would it have been a good deal for Alabama to take a chance on Dabo Swinney, had he been available on the market? Looking at the current situation, the answer seems clear. DeBoer's arrival showed that the board made the right choice in seeking someone outside the box, someone willing to evolve with the game, without resisting change. Meanwhile, Swinney remains stuck in a model that worked in the past but is showing signs of exhaustion. Saban was elegant in his analysis. He didn't put extra pressure on Dabo, nor did he suggest that Clemson should move in a different direction. But, at the same time, he implicitly warned, in today's college football, it's not enough to live off past achievements. Stability only exists until the next bad season. And what we see today is that if Alabama had gambled on Swinney as its successor, it might have been paying a high price for a bad decision. With DeBoer, the Tide still has a future to write. And the comparison with Dabo serves as a reminder that, in college sports, the biggest risk isn't losing, but refusing to change. And speaking of former Alabama players, Brian Robinson Jr.'s adaptation to the San Francisco 49ers has been an interesting chapter in the career of the former Alabama and Washington Commanders running back. Since being acquired by the 49ers in August, Robinson arrived as a prospect to bolster the running game of a team that has always valued this dimension under Kyle Shanahan. However, so far, his playing time has been limited, and his contribution still appears to be in the process of adjusting to the team's offensive scheme. Robinson, who led the NFL in rushing yards in 2023 with an impressive 1,459 yards for the Commanders, is far from being the protagonist in the 49ers offense. So far, he appears more like a safety net for Christian McCaffrey, the team's versatile star who dominates most of the offensive plays. McCaffrey, known for his impact on both the ground and through the air, rarely leaves the field, which reduces opportunities for other running backs, including Robinson. Through the first 4 games of the season, Robinson has accumulated just 22 rushing attempts for 96 yards, along with 2 receptions for 3 yards. Comparatively, his average of 4.4 yards per carry is solid, even surpassing McCaffrey's this season, 3.3 yards per carry. Still, his role on the team seems secondary, also reflected in the 50 offensive snaps he has played so far. This contrasts with McCaffrey's 228 snaps, who remains the centerpiece of the 49ers offense. General Manager John Lynch acknowledged the challenge of integrating Robinson into the 49ers' specific style of play. "It's very specific what we ask our backs to do," Lynch said, noting that Shanahan's system demands a level of precision and adaptation that can take time for new players to master. For Robinson, this means getting used to how the running backs make quick cuts, pressure holes, and execute specific blocks. Lynch, however, expressed optimism about Robinson's future with the team, praising his work ethic, positive attitude, and football skills. Off the field, Robinson has been described as an exemplary teammate. He's seen smiling constantly, has earned the respect of the running backs room, and has been a positive presence in the locker room. But on the field, his contributions haven't yet reached the level many expected when he was acquired. The potential is there, after all. We're talking about a player who has already proven his ability to lead the NFL in rushing yards, but he still needs to earn more space on a team that relies heavily on McCaffrey. Interestingly, the 49ers running game as a whole has been disappointing so far. The team ranks last in the NFC in rushing yards and has yet to score a rushing touchdown this season. This is an alarming number for a franchise that traditionally builds its winning campaigns around a strong running game. In recent years, the 49ers' success has been directly linked to the effectiveness of their running attack. In seasons where the team finished in the top 7 in the NFL in rushing yards, they achieved at least 10 wins. In years where they fell below that mark, overall performance declined significantly. While the 49ers' passing game is working well, they rank second in the NFL in passing yards. The lack of an effective running game could ultimately hurt the team in decisive matches. And it is in this context that Robinson may begin to gain more opportunities. Furthermore, there is a nostalgic element to Robinson's situation. He shares the practice field with Mac Jones, his former teammate at Alabama. The two shared memorable moments in Tuscaloosa, and now they are back together in a new phase of their careers. Although Jones has assumed the starting quarterback role for a few games, Robinson is still looking to cement his place on the team. Perhaps this connection to the past can help him find more comfort in the present. For Robinson, the challenge now is to prove he can be more than just a backup option. He has the experience, talent, and mindset to become an important piece of the 49ers puzzle. And perhaps reminiscing about Alabama's good times in practice can help? When Alabama won in Athens, the question remained, how to transform the running game into a truly explosive weapon. In the first 3 games of the 2025 season, the Crimson Tide struggled to establish consistency running the ball, and even with Jam Miller's return against Georgia, it was still clear that the gears weren't fully in place. The team managed to surpass 100 rushing yards against a Power 4 opponent for the first time this year, but that still wasn't enough for a program that has always prided itself on dominating the trenches. Miller, coming off a dislocated collarbone, had his debut delayed and naturally needed time to get back into rhythm. Against the Bulldogs, he rushed 16 times for just 46 yards, showing flashes of explosiveness but lacking the play that could change the course of an offensive drive. Offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb got straight to the point, Alabama needs to put Miller in more favorable situations. The idea is simple: create one-on-one matchups, especially against safeties or secondary defenders, where Miller has a chance to break tackles and turn a short run into a 20 or 30-yard gain. According to Grubb, the team only managed 4 of these opportunities against Georgia, when ideally they would have doubled that number. Kalen DeBoer, for his part, emphasizes that the path forward is execution and repetition. He acknowledges that 4 or 5-yard runs aren't eye-catching, but they have strategic value. Sustaining drives, gaining first downs in obvious rushing moments, and imposing a physical mindset are still positives. For the coach, confidence will come with practice and with the repetition of these fundamentals throughout the week. What's clear is that Alabama is trying to balance 2 fronts. On the one hand, there's the need to reclaim its ground game identity, using Miller and Kevin Riley to punish defenses inside the line. On the other, there's an evolving aerial attack, with Ty Simpson demonstrating control and confidence in commanding the unit. This opens up alternatives, such as the use of screens and short passes to running backs, something that has already begun to emerge in Athens. Miller had 3 receptions for 19 yards, while Riley contributed 2 for 37. It's a strategy that forces defenses to move laterally, eroding opponents' internal integrity, even when traditional runs don't work. Another point that cannot be ignored is Miller's presence outside of the most visible statistics. His maturity, work ethic, and intelligence in recognizing pressure were praised by Grubb. This not only protects Simpson in the pocket but also gives the offense confidence to explore more options without fear of immediate breakdowns in protection. Still, for Alabama to take the next step toward an explosive offense, it needs to transform consistency into a real threat. Establishing 4 to 5-yard runs is the first step, but the coaching staff knows it needs to create conditions for Miller to have at least half a dozen opportunities to face defenders in the open field per game. This is the difference between an efficient offense and a devastating one, and that's exactly what the Crimson Tide is striving for. The good news for fans is that the problem isn't structural. Alabama has talent in the backfield, an offensive line that's still finding its chemistry, and a coach who's not shying away from correcting flaws. The uneven start can be seen as part of the team's adaptation to a new system under DeBoer. But if there's one thing that defines Alabama, it's its ability to evolve throughout the season. And that's what everyone expects. Comment.